Good day. Um, Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing Chapter 7 of the Dummies programming. And just looking at how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript work together in order to modify the web page with your CSS code and JavaScript code and HTML. So, specifically emphasis on changing CSS with JavaScript. So, how is that done? This is done by using the getElementById method. So, what is the getElementById method? It's basically a method that selects an HTML element based on its ID attribute. So what it does is it accesses specific elements, right, based on the ID attribute in order for it to make changes within that element. That's basically what the getElementById method does. Then there's also the getElementByTag and getElementByClass, I believe. But specifically getElementById. It looks for the element within the HTML code and it accesses it, and in order to make changes to that element. So this is an example of how the getElementById method looks, essentially. So here you have like your element ID, and it enters this element ID in order to make changes to it. Then we have changing CSS styles with JavaScript. So how that's done is basically with the style object over here. So the style object makes changes. It makes changes to the CSS style, let me say. So like once an element is selected, right? Once you select a specific element, right, then you can make changes to it. How you do that is by using the style object over here. So once you use the style object, you can make different changes to the element that you access. So that's basically after you access it with the the getElementById method. Then you also have the set interval as well. So what the set interval does is it repeatedly calls a specific function at specific set time intervals, right? Usually every 100 milliseconds. So basically what this does is it makes changes to the element as well. So it updates the element and it continuously executes the function within it. So you have the set interval here, which is assigned to a variable, and within the set interval there is a function that is repeatedly being it's repeatedly being incremented in a way. So if you can look at these methods with this code here and explain it from here, you can have a better understanding. So here we have your HTML tag, with the different with the different tag elements, different class elements, different ID elements that we want to access using the get by element method. The get element method. So here, firstly we discussed the get element by ID method. So if you can describe this line of code. So like we were saying, this method basically finds the HTML element with a specific ID, right? So it finds it with the specific ID attribute. So in this case over here, the ID attribute, right, would be ID equals left I. This is the ID attribute that is being accessed by the get element by ID method. This one here. So left I. So what it does is, once it accesses this ID element, right, it assigns it to the variable left I, as we can see over here. It assigns it to the variable left I. That's why it says left I over here. Now left I represents that specific element, and what it does is it allows us to modify the properties within that element. So what you can do is change this, right? And on the web page, it will basically change because of that. But that's the get by element, the get element by ID method. It accesses this ID equals left I and makes changes to it. Then we have this line of code over here. Left I dot style dot background color equals purple in quotation marks. So what this does here is, this left I dot style dot background color, as we discussed it, the style object is basically to change the style within the web page, right? That's the aim of it. So it accesses the background color, right? The style object accesses the background color, and the aim of it is to basically modify it, so it makes changes to it. So as you can see here, it says purple, right? Let's see. Okay, I can't find it here. But yeah, essentially it accesses this and it assigns this specific attribute to it, which is purple. And you can basically change it. So if I change it to blue here, on the web page, the background color will change to blue. If I change it to yellow, it will change to yellow. So the style method here, or the style object here, basically changes the background color by assigning it a specific value. Then we have the set interval, as we discussed earlier. So specifically with this set interval method, it basically runs, the function within it runs continuously every 100 milliseconds, right? So inside the function, the element, inside this function specifically, the element moves 1 pixel to the right each time it runs. So as we can see here, that's the function for the element to move 1 pixel to the right. So when you go on your web page, it shows that it moves to the right based off this function. So that's the set interval. So this part here has to be embedded, and then the function within it continuously runs every 100 milliseconds. Then you have your variable here, which is current left. Assigned to this variable you have parse int and the rest of this code. So yeah, that's basically the function within the set interval method. So that's the main aim of this. It repeats the function continuously in order to make changes to the web page. So yeah. So in this example here, as we were saying, it increases the left position by 1 pixel. That's the function that happens within this set interval method. So yeah, that's a basic summary of changing CSS with JavaScript and how they work together. So like finding elements with your ID, with your get element by ID method, which accesses specific elements using the ID attributes assigned to those elements, and then changing how the web page looks with the style object, and like in this example, changing the background color, and by manipulating it here and all of that. And yeah, and then with the set interval as well, continuously running the function so we can make changes to the web page. So yeah, that's basically a rough understanding of changing CSS with JavaScript code. So yeah, thank you for tuning in and watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.